By now, we're all tired of hearing about 2020 being an unprecedented year with its challenges and whatnot. But you've got to admit, apart from the dreaded pandemic and the whole world being in chaos for months, this year also taught us so many lessons. We learned to value the tiniest things in life like handshakes, hugs, casual conversations, coffee dates, and even strolling outside for fresh air. Business wise, the pandemic, we can all agree, has made tremendous impact for so many of us, both negatively and positively. And with the many changes we've had to adapt to this year, there were definitely days we lost focus and gave in to the noise around us. And you know what? That's totally okay because I definitely had those days too. The key thing is to not beat ourselves up over it. So in this episode, we'll talk about how we can find focus and block out noise despite the very challenging setup of our very unpredictable dilemma that is COVID-19.
Hey there! I'm Maida Leon, and my mission is to help creatives like you translate what you love to do into a highly profitable income. I'm a mom of 3 who began as a lettering artist and grew it into a 6-figure business. If I made it possible, so can you. Every week, we'll dive deep into topics like building your confidence, getting comfortable talking about money, and nurturing your passion while juggling life and family. So if you're an ambitious creative who wants to craft the life you love, get cozy, feel at home, and listen to the Confident Creator Show.
Hey creators, you're listening to episode number 22. Wow, we only have a month left of 2020. And well, I know how this year has been for all of us, but if you haven't met me yet, I'm someone who always tries to look for silver linings and focus on the good things, big and small. I know it's difficult for many of us to cope with what the pandemic has thrown at us, wishing that this nightmare had never happened and hoping that things will be back to normal. And speaking of normal, let me tell you a story I've never shared before. You know, when my husband and I found out we were pregnant with a baby boy, we were so excited. We talked about our hopes and plans for him. We envisioned a future for him and often wondered, what will he be like? Asking questions like, will he be a protective brother to his sisters? Will he like sports or video games just like his dad? Where would he like to attend school? What will he aspire to be when he grows up? Then the day the doctors told us his diagnosis, that our baby had Down syndrome, our world shattered. We questioned everything, like how is this possible? Why did this happen? Why us? I got angry, upset, and grew resentful when I saw healthy babies and pregnant women. I was so angry at the unfairness of it all. Underlying and fueling all that anger was also fear. Fear of what the future will be like for a family and for a son. There was even an incident before where my mom had to pull me away because I was about to say something I knew I would regret to another pregnant woman who approached me. It was that bad. When he was born, we weren't prepared to care for a special needs child and we had to educate ourselves and learn as we go. No one prepares parents for these types of situations. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my son to bits, but it was such a struggle at the beginning. But bit by bit, as we get to know Alphonse, we understood his needs better and discovered a supportive community of parents who have children with special needs, some of which have become our good friends. Our lives, quote unquote, seem to return to normal. That story feels very much like this pandemic. When it first hit us, we knew nothing about it. We were fearful and angry and confused about conflicting news. Everything changed and we had to learn as we go, and that includes the medical world as they learn what this virus is about. We hated the many changes it brought upon us, like lockdowns, restrictive rules, well, children being at home, yeah. There's so many things that I'm not gonna rehash because we're still going through it. But have you noticed something as the months rolled on by? We found ways to adapt and change how we do things in life and business that it has become, well, normal to us. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and on top of the lifestyle changes we had to make, we also dealt with how to run our businesses and the way we do work to make sure we have all the income we need to feed our families. But hey, we all know how difficult it is to manage life, business, and family in one location. All of us stuck at home with each other trying to do our own thing. While my twins are doing their online learning, my husband is doing his DIY projects, and I am trying to run a business in one tiny space, and don't forget about the pets. Thank goodness we now have our own spaces, but for many of us not lucky enough to have that, I feel you because the struggle to remain sane in that situation is real. And that is why this episode is perfect for you because today, we'll talk about how you can find focus and block out the daily noise around you. So pay close attention because I'll share with you my not-so-secret sauce to stay productive and get your work done in just 2 to 4 hours every day. Shh, don't tell anyone. I'm actually lazy. And I don't mean the laziest type of lazy. I'm lazy in a sense that I don't want to do work for as long as I need to because I want to be with my family. I want to take leisurely walks around the neighborhood with the kids, cook meals for the family, and take my time to shop for them. Pamper myself with me time and, oh, of course, dedicate time to my newest obsession, my plants. All of these are part of my decompression process from the pressure of running a business. So, in order to do all that, I need to be able to focus and do all the important things that need my full attention every single day. But before I can achieve that laser focus and flow, in my experience, the very first thing we need to understand are the important things that we need to do every day and how to prioritize these things. Make it your non-negotiables. For example, with me, we start our day with refreshing morning walks to greet the day, followed by cooking hearty breakfast and then some time for the twins and I to clean the house. And after that, it's time to cook lunch. Now, if I had decided to do my work in between this daily routine, I bet you that my focus will be all over the place. Thinking about work while we clean the house and thinking about preparing lunch while I'm doing work. I'll be a complete mess and will probably not get a lot of things done when my mind has to switch between things I need to do. And I have to tell you, I hate multitasking. We've been told that it's a good skill to have back when I was in the corporate world, and it's a skill that our bosses praise, but trust me, you can do a lot more when you're focused. The work that I do with my full focus is so much better than the work I did when I tried to quote-unquote multitask. Now, going back to my routine, I discovered that it was only after lunch that I'm able to get my much-needed deep work time. That 1 to 5 p.m. window where I'm not disturbed, completely focused on my work. And how did I know that? By trial and error, my friends. It took a lot of trial and error to get to finally understand what works for me better. And by the way, this routine will be constantly changing depending on your circumstances or what stage of your business you're in. After living in Singapore for 8 years, we moved back to Manila in 2019. It was definitely a major adjustment for everyone. And of course, our routine is very much different compared to our time in Singapore. And now that we've moved into our new home, we went through another adjustment period. But it still took me a while to get to the new routine I described early on. Months of inconsistency. So if you feel like you're all over the place right now, don't worry too much because later on I'll share how you can get to this point quickly. So step 1 is to take out a notepad or paper or open up your notes app and start listing down the non-business related tasks or mapping out your daily routine. Things you need to do like cooking, laundry, taking the trash out, and times you need to spend with the family. Don't worry about listing down everything or thinking too much about it. Just list down what you come up with. You can always add on or remove certain things. Then, prioritize. What are the non-negotiable things you need to do? Family needs, self-care routine, wellness. Then you can think about which ones you can totally remove from the list, like binge watching Netflix or perhaps reducing the time you spend on social media or chatting with friends. List them all down, and after taking the things you can put off or totally remove, you'll be left with your non-negotiable tasks. Next step, or step 2, is to schedule in your non-negotiable tasks. When do these tasks need to happen? In the mornings, afternoon, or evening? Then think about where your deep work fits into your day. Find that 2 to 4 hours window in the schedule, and this is crucial because all the things you need to do for work will be scheduled in this window of time. Things like creating artwork, client calls, business meetings, etc. Now, once you've nailed down your deep work window, it's time for step 3, which is to eliminate distractions. Notice how I use the word eliminate, because it's not enough to put your phone on silent mode. Our body is so used to grabbing our phone every single minute of the day. So if it's near you, even on silent mode, you will still grab it. Instead, try putting the phone on airplane mode so you don't get any notifications at all, and put it in another room. I'm going to repeat that last bit. Put your phone away in another room. The first thing you're going to realize is how you'll find yourself constantly grabbing your missing phone every minute. It's kind of funny and a little embarrassing to realize how dependent we are on that gadget. But eventually, you'll get used to it and you'll constantly remain focused to get the job done. Now, one more thing you might need to consider, especially if you have kids around, is to set boundaries. When my husband was still working, we had a carer looking after Alphonse. But I remember how the twins will be constantly calling out for me every single minute. And it can be really, really distracting. But because they're old enough to understand, they were 10 years old at the time, I sat down and talked to them about why it's important that mom spend time working. If they need me for something and it can wait, I'm going to give them my full attention when I'm out of my workroom or when I'm done. Do that with your kids, your parents, your roommates, whoever you live with, and let them know your needs, and it's something they will understand and appreciate. Oh, and another thing, I do put a note on my studio door that says I'm on work mode so my family knows not to knock. Now, if you have younger children, you might need a different approach. See if you can do your deep work during their nap times or have someone help care for them during that 2 to 4 hours window. So now that you've set your deep work schedule, step number 4 is to include a review and reflection on your goals on a regular basis. Usually, it's weekly, so you know where you stand, what needs to be done, and what areas you can focus on. Your goals are important because it gives you direction, and reviewing them and charting your progress is going to tell you where you are on the map. Because if you don't know where you are and where you're going, you'll be going around in circles and you're probably working on things that might not even be important to you and your business. So now that you've nailed down your deep work schedule, eliminated your distractions, set boundaries, and reviewed your goals, the next step is step number 5, which is, of course, your deep work. This is the time to work. What I do sometimes when I have big tasks is to break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. I'm using something that my own business coach taught me, the Pomodoro Technique. I have a kitchen timer because remember, I removed my distraction and my phone is in another room. My version of the technique is a little different though. I'll split my big tasks into smaller ones and I determine how much time I need to spend on each task. And I set the timer accordingly. Once the timer goes off, I need to stop whatever it is I'm doing and do something else. That helped me really focus and get things done because of the pressure that at any minute, the timer might go off. And so I have to finish that task within the allocated time so it doesn't get piled up. But of course, not all tasks will be done within the time you set because some will take longer to finish. You'll need to add it back to your list for the next day. The most important thing is you're moving forward and inch by inch, it's getting you closer to completion. This technique works for me really well, but it is by no means the only technique out there. It might work for you, it might not. You need to figure out what works for you best because there's no one-size-fits-all approach to productivity. Alrighty, now that you've done your work, there's one last step you might want to do, and for me, it's super important because it gives me a sense of accomplishment to know what I've done and to know what I needed to do next. Step number 6 is to review what you've done for the day. Have you accomplished tasks that bring you closer to your goals? Review what worked well for the day and what didn't. This is how you learn. By reviewing what you've done, you know if a process works better for you or not. It will also help you understand how to set your daily targets and work that needs to be done. You'll learn how to realistically set aside time for every task. Have you ever scheduled a bajillion of tasks in a day and thought, yes, I'm going to be able to do it? Only to find out that the ginormous list is paralyzing you to actually get anything done. It's also demoralizing to know that you've barely made a dent on that list. These happen to so many of us, but we can really learn from those experiences. So make sure to review your daily accomplishments and set your intention for the following day. People often ask me how I get a lot of things done, but to be honest, I don't. I just know what my priorities are and focus my time on those. I have said no to many dinner dates, parties, movies with friends because there's a trade-off. For every yes to an invite is a no to my priorities. So I protect my time fiercely. I've said no to meeting invites about new potential business opportunities, and I miss out on online Zoom meetup with my friends where I know we'll end up chatting for hours. I know it sounds harsh, but the way I see it is, if I want to have the luxury of spending time dining and perhaps drinking with friends, I need to finish the most important things first. And for me to be able to do the most important work, I need to be super focused and have nothing distract me during my deep work. That's how I'm able to work fewer hours. And that's how I can spend more time with the people I love. So if you want to do the things you love, you have to put in the work to afford that luxury. All right, to recap on how you can find focus and block out the noise, we have step 1, list down the tasks that might interfere with work. Step 2, schedule your non-negotiable tasks like caring for the kids, cooking, etc. Step 3, eliminate distractions. Step 4, review and reflect on your goals so you'll have a clear understanding of what you need to do next. Step 5, your deep work schedule. Step 6, review what you've done for the day. There you have it, my friends, my not-so-secret framework for getting things done better and in less time. It seems complicated, but it's really a simple process, but it has worked wonders for my life and business. So why not give it a try and see how it'll work for you too? Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you'll give this work process a try and let me know how it went for you. Your results will mean so much, so do share it with me on Instagram and tag me at MyDeLeon, MyEDELEON. I'd love to hear from you. Likewise, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review on iTunes. Your reviews are super important because it helps our podcast get found by many creatives just like you. Help us reach as many creative entrepreneurs so we can inspire, motivate, and help them too. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai.